Hello everybody, Giant Skyhawk here, and welcome back to a Fluffal update video. It's been a hot minute. Last couple months I've been trying to reorganize some stuff, but we are back, and this is a concept that we're working with. So the whole way through this video I'll be giving you some updates from the last guide on Fluffal strategy, new stuff we've been playing, one big new tool we got, a couple of smaller new tools, and different options within the format. I'll give you kind of a format breakdown and some matchup guides, and then I'm going to show you some combos with the new tools. We'll have some example matches, and finally I'll also give you a bunch of extra deck tech options. This is probably maybe the most options we've had in a while. Space is getting really tight. There's a lot of cool new tools, so without further ado, I'm just going to break down the list. For those of you who are new, I would recommend just reading like the first reading, watching the first section of my previous video. That will go through a lot of the specific functions of the cards and everything. I'm going to assume if you're watching this video, you know that stuff. If you don't, definitely go watch the first chunk of that video. It has a whole bunch of card explanations, and it'll help you get started. But anyway, digging into this list specifically, the main deck Fluffal lineup is pretty much exactly the same. I'm still on the 3 bears, 3 dogs, dolphin, octopus, triple penguin, 1 sheep, 1 wings. There is some play here that I'll get into a bit later, and I'm on the same edge imp ratios. You could play the edge imp scythe if you want. Artifact scythe is still optional. The biggest new tool that we have here is Illusion of Chaos. Illusion of Chaos released in Battles of Chaos, and you might be thinking, Skyhawk, why are we joining the Dark Magician players and the based players in playing this silly card that draws cards? No. This is much more based than using the Brave Engine in this deck. All right, hear me out. Previous builds of Fluffal were playing Magician Souls. Obviously, Magician Souls send Toy Vendor sounds pretty appealing, but it was inconsistent and it caused a lot of bricky hands, and it was difficult to justify using the non-engine space for this. That was until Illusion of Chaos. Now, those of you who are familiar with like Souls, Metal Foe shenanigans, like Magician Souls send multiple combination, like that's like relatively consistent if you see Souls. But in this deck, Illusion of Chaos shines more than in any other deck. You might have heard people who are playing the base deck say, oh, we're here to like stack bricks on top of our deck, for example. In this deck, you can use Illusion of Chaos to stack the top of your deck for Toy Vendor. So if you see like IOC Toy Vendor and a Fluffal name, for example, you can Fluffal name Illusion of Chaos, reveal itself to add Magician Souls, but you don't stack itself, you stack the dog. And then the Illusion of Chaos is the free discard for the Toy Vendor to get the dog to special summon it. So now, you have a card that can hugely boost the ceiling on your combo plays without using a normal summon, that also gets a link extender, that also sends Toy Vendors, that also draws you more cards. Really, 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 really strong. I've kind of been toying with ratios, and I'll explain. There's a whole bunch of different ways you can build this out now, depending on what you want in the metagame and what your goal is. But I would highly consider Illusion of Chaos. Now, you don't need it. It's obviously expensive. Like, it's a pricey card. For that I would say I am currently playing a 3-2 ratio, but you can absolutely like shrink down to save money on this. I do think this is the most competitive way to play the deck, but you can do stuff like cut out 1 Illusion of Chaos and cut 1 Magician of Souls and play 2-1, or if you still want the 5-card engine, you can play 1 Souls, 2 Illusion of Chaos, and then 2 Preparation, and then 2 Preparation of Rights to search the Illusion of Chaos. That's also good for deck thinning, which is nice. The other thing is, if you play the Preparation of Rights package to save on costs, you can also play 1 copy of Saravis as an alternate target, if you want. Saravis the Ancient and Descendant, it's basically target protection, so it's a hand trap negate for essentially like impermanence and effect failure. So if those cards are popular in the metagame, you can shift to that, or you can just do what I was doing before and play 2 and 1. Golden Lord in the main is still perfectly fine, but I will show off just exactly how silly the Illusion of Chaos is. The other thing is I am main decking the droplets. Again, stupid how expensive this card is for budget reasons. You can literally just like swap this card out for Gamma, and even some people might argue that main decking the droplet in this format right now is maybe not a good idea. There are less people playing it than there were. So this kind of depends on your pick. But yeah, the rest of this is actually pretty similar to what I was playing before. You can completely ignore the side deck. The third Edge Scythe is something you might want to consider playing. Yeah, that's about it for that. I would, however, suggest side decking or main decking Gamma. Not only is Gamma just like a really strong hand trap right now, but Gamma is excellent protection against what people are siding for you. So, for example, I think not a lot of people are main decking Droll, and even not a lot of people are siding Droll, but depending on how the meta shifts, people might start siding Droll, and that's when Gamma becomes a lot more necessary. Also, it's a link extender, which is really, really good. Also, Twin Twisters as well, just general good back row removal. You also generally want your side cards to have more hand traps. I have Ashen here. I could not tell you why. I think it's probably not the best thing to pick up. Stuff like Nib, Gamma, Lancia, Token Collector. Try to get like high impact hand traps in your side because we have a wider deck space and less non-engine space to work with. So you want the hand traps you draw to like do more. I'm also playing the 3 Penguins Garden. I think this card is really crazy right now, especially because there are a lot of hand traps in the format, and we need to be able to extend through them. And Royal Penguins Garden serves as a really excellent extender, and Royal Penguins Garden has a lot of synergy with Souls. It's essentially the same thing as sending a toy vendor, but you're just choosing to add the penguin beforehand. So having that like extra value for the Souls synergy is really big as well. And it's also like, it's also funny. Yeah, so there's that. But yeah, for the extra deck, there have been a few changes. Notably, I'm not playing Sabretooth anymore. I think the problem was that I was having in testing is it's so rare that Sabretooth comes up in this specific version of the build. Like, you're not reviving Kraken as much. It's so rare that you have like an open board where Sabretooth Kraken is gonna get you to lethal. And because I'm playing 2 poly in this particular list, I'm just seeing that aspect of the deck less. It's a lot more like focused on building the board. So I've cut Sabretooth. You can definitely still play it if you want. I just find it comes up a lot less. So I'm down to 2 whale, 1 Kraken, 1 tiger. Kraken and tiger don't like. It's funny as like kind of like the less amount that they come up over the course of these matches, but these are 2 cards that you really, really want to have if you need them, just because Kraken being non-destruction removal in your engine is really important, and Tiger just being an absolute bomb that must be responded to, or to just clear the way for game is really, really big. Dweller is still here, so this is a notable change. I am currently playing 2 Bahamut Shark and 2 Totally Awesome. Now, importantly, I don't think this is necessary. It's just something I'm trying out, and I know Ease has been trying it out as well. Illusion of Chaos makes this criminally easy to do. You can frequently end on like double-toed Apo Dweller with the Scythe Lock setup with the Edge Scythe in hand. It makes for really stupid recovery, and importantly, having this in your extra deck makes Rogue and Flunder matchups way, way better for you. For example, against Flunder, you could do like double-toed Appaloosa Tornado Dragon with the Edge Scythe in hand as a pop. I just reached to point on my screen like that made a difference. But being able to have that Toad as like an alternate and board against control matchups, I think is really strong, especially as those decks start to like seep more into the meta. However, it's not necessary. If you want the extra deck space for more tech, you can totally drop to 1. I have personally really liked it because it puts a lot of pressure on your opponent, and if you get hand trapped at the first Bahamut Shark, you can just make another one to get that Toad on the board. And this also makes like it less necessary for Toad to put itself back with Bahamut Shark pressure, and it lets you protect plays on turn 3 in some really funny scenarios. Also, the double recovery from Toad is just silly. Being able to go like Penguin, Dolphin, we add back everything and all that is just really, really, really stupid. Oh, I gotta plug my headphones back in here. So there's that. I'm still playing Access Code. Again, it's pricey. You don't need this card. It could be Boral Sword. I think Access Code is coming up a little bit more lately, but you could replace it for Boral Sword. You could replace it for a rank 4, another fusion, another link play. It can be basically anything you want. Totally not necessary, but I like it right now. These are standard, the Apo Dog to Cross Sheep, we all know. This is one cool new inclusion. And as like a caveat to point out here, there was actually recently a Fluffal list that got top 4 at a Texas regional. Shout out to Michael Campos. Amazing result, really cool list. I have a lot of disagreements with his main deck, but I think this was one of the really, like, absolutely his best ideas, was Dark the Dark Charmer. I've been testing this lately, and I think it's a really sick tool. So for those who don't know what this does, it's the same as all the other Charmer links, but for Darks, which is really important right now because a Destiny Hero, Destroyer, Phoenix Enforcer is a Dark type. So you can target a Dark monster in your opponent's graveyard and special it to your zone this card points to. This is really, really sick because you can take your opponent's DPE, but also there's just a lot of Dark in the format. So you can take your opponent's stuff, like against the base deck, you can take your opponent's Magician Souls, and then Soul Send cards. That's come up before. You can take your opponent's DPE, again, you can take your opponent's, like, Verte, if they've destroyed it, to get that link to just immediately make an Access Code or an Appaloosa. And the other thing, too, is there's actually a lot of cards that are pretty beneficial for us to add off of this, if it gets destroyed by our opponent's card effect. So for example, you can add Edgem Chain to get follow-up, you can add the Edgem Scythe, or you can just add Illusion of Chaos or Magician Souls. And if you wanted to, depending on like games, you could even tech in Dark-type hand traps to pop in. I think, is Skullmeister a Dark? Hold on. Skullmeister. It is a Dark, yeah, okay. That's the first one I could think of, was the Skullmeisters, but you could tech in stuff to add with the Dark if you want. I think it's just a really, really sick tech in being able to steal your opponent's DPE. And I'll get into some other uses, especially that Michael Campos pointed out. I'll link that profile in the description. Like I said, I actually have a lot of disagreements with his main deck. There are some things that I don't really think make a lot of sense, but he absolutely did a fantastic job at the regional, and you should listen to people with opinions different from me. So go watch his profile and listen to his explanations so that you can come to your own conclusions about what makes sense. Okay. That is kind of the breakdown of the theory behind this particular list I've been playing. I was also testing 43 cards, but dropping an Illusion of Chaos and the Magician Souls. And later in the video, I'll get into some different options you guys have in terms of different main deck tech, different extra deck tech, different ways to play, budget options. But for now, I'm just going to go over specifically the crazy, insane stuff that Illusion of Chaos does for this deck. So I'm going to pop over to solo mode and I'll show you guys what's up. Alright, so this is going to be just like the very basic function of what Illusion of Chaos can do for the deck. Obviously it can just like add Magician Souls and put itself back, but this is where it like specifically shines in this deck, is being able to actually extend your combo plays and let you push through interaction. So this is probably like the best iteration of it, but obviously like almost any Fluffal name that you're summoning from hand is going to have a lot of really good applications. Dog is probably the best one for this, but so here you reveal the Illusion of Chaos, activate the effect, adding the Magician Souls to your hand. But like I said before, Illusion of Chaos lets you stack any card to the top of your deck. So we're going to stack the Dog to top of deck, activate the Toy Vendor, and what's cool about this is that if you don't have another card that's beneficial to discard, the Illusion of Chaos is just the card that you could discard. So you can Toy Vendor effect, pitch that free Illusion of Chaos to graveyard, draw yourself the Fluffal Dog you stacked, special summon this, and go and search. Now, obviously, if you want to high roll with Magician Souls, you can get Bear and then do the send to, add to, which honestly here is not bad because you haven't used your normal summon. So you can like Bear, set the vendor. Yeah, let's do that. So here, this is like maybe the most powerful example of this, right? Is obviously the Bear to go and set another Toy Vendor, and you can use it as another discard outlet if it's necessary. But here, like you can activate the Souls as the high roll to send your another Illusion of Chaos here, special defense, and then Magician Souls effect, send both Toy Vendors to draw 2. Now what's really cool about this is obviously like if the draw resolves is insane, but even if the draw doesn't resolve, you're still playing. So double Toy Vendor search here gets you Penguin Dolphin, and you haven't used your normal summon. So you can just go off. Oh, Penguin. Penguin Special Dolphin, Special Summon Defense, Declare Dolphin effect. And here, even though you're playing into Nib, even if they Nibiru you at Bahamut Shark, you're still getting Wings draws with 2 other cards in hand. So they have to have 3 hand traps to beat an IOC setup most of the time. And even like in a more minimal situation, if you're not summoning dog, when you Magician Souls send for the toy vendor for cost, if you get hand trapped, you just add Dolphin, normal Dolphin, reset, get your wing straws, and start playing from there. So really, really, really powerful effect. But yeah, that's what dog IOC vendor does. But again, even just IOC with other toy vendors is still good. There's lots of cards that can do searches. Like you could normal dog to search a penguin to stack a penguin. Like you can do all sorts of stuff to like try to bait out interaction and go ham. But that's just an example of how this applies. So I think here I'll probably do just a couple test hands just to get you guys used to like incorporating Illusion of Chaos into combos, whether you open it or whether you see it later. So I'm going to get that started. So I'll see you guys at some test hands. Alright, so this is definitely more of a simple test hand, but we're gonna get it started. Here, just as a reminder, you probably want to hold this Patchwork. Unless you specifically want to play around Droll here, I would be holding the Patchwork. I would lead with Royal Penguin's Garden, just because it will confuse your opponent, but in this case, we're probably just going to go for a classic Penguin Dolphin play. So we're going to go Penguin, since we got Foolish Burial Goods here. We'll go FP Goods, send the Toy Vendor effect here to add ourselves a Fluffal Dolphin. To hand. Normal Penguin. And again, the reason that I'm leading with my Penguin Dolphin play here is because my extension is to activate Patchwork and then to fuse away the Penguin and use the repair sent off of Whale to get Dolphin out. Or depending on what I draw, sequence my plays a little differently. If they like Imperm Penguin or Imperm Dolphin, Patchwork here is what is still allowing you to play. So that's why I'm leading with this. If you feel like the wings draws are more important to resolve, it might be better to do it in the reverse order. But generally, I like doing it this way. So we'll set view, we'll send ourselves some wings to grave. And here I'll overlay into Bahamut, force them to stop the Bahamut. And if they've wasted the Bahamut, we've still got Patchwork and we've still got wings. So we've still got lots to work with. So we'll go declare. I'll pitch the Dolphin, because I feel less bad about banishing that than missing out on like some Penguin add backs. Although you could detach Penguin here. Sometimes it matters, sometimes it doesn't. Now that Toad is up, Patchwork time. Here, I'm just going to get Edgem Scythe, especially because I haven't used my vendor search and I have Dog in hand to get Octopus. So I'm going to do this just to make sure that I get the Edgem Scythe in rotation. That's something that you should be thinking about as you're doing your combos, is what pieces do I need, what am I going to want later? So now that we've got that, let's do our wings draws and let's see what we pull off. Banish, banish. Draw, send, and draw. Interesting. Okay, so getting sheep here is cool. Hopefully maybe we can see an IOC later in this, but here I'll get Penguin, just because we can get value out of Penguin draws. And Dog can go get Octopus, and we already have sheep, so we've already got a lot of pieces in rotation. So here we'll get Pingu. Alright, we'll poly away the Edgem Scythe and the Penguin here. Special summon attack. So we'll go Penguin effect here. One thing of possible note here is that there's a slightly different setup. So a lot of the time before Illusion of Chaos, you would Cruel Whale before doing Penguin draws to Foolish Repair. But now that Illusion of Chaos is a thing, I like either trying to get a chain to go get the repair, because it boosts the ceiling on your combos, or just waiting to see if you draw it and then sending after. Just because right now, repair is actually really strong for doing both double toad setups and for making like extension plays different. And it also recycles your Cruel Whale, which makes interesting plays for turn 3 as well. So I'm not going to do the Cruel Whale send, because it's not quite necessary just yet, and drawing the repair here actually does some cool stuff. So we've got the third, Gardens, and Illusion of Chaos. Cool, cool. Okay, so I'm going to pitch the spare Gardens. Now this is really, really sick here. So we're going to go Illusion of Chaos reveal. If I wanted to high roll, I could do like Dog add Bear to like vendor shenaniganery, but I think I'm just going to play it safe. So we're going to go get Souls to hand, and I'm going to stack that IOC. And then we'll special the Souls. And this is why Royal Penguin's Garden is cool, because even if you see like multiples later, sending them is still such high value. So we're going to bin an Illusion of Chaos. Oh, not to my hand, to grave. And this is also part of why the Souls Engine is cool. This plays the same role as Eldritch the Golden Lord did, in that it is a link. It ends up being like an extender going first. The advantage to this is that like it's like an even better extender because you can draw and send cards to push through interaction. The downside is that you lose the removal of Golden Lord, but this engine is a lot less minus than Lord can be. So I think in the main deck this is the way to go. So let's declare. Let's bin our gardens. Draw. Toy vendor patchwork. This is cool. The toy vendor actually opens up some interesting options later. So now we're gonna do the linky into cross shape. Now, since we didn't draw the chain here, I'm now gonna go ahead and use the whale here to send the repair to get our plays going. So open the repair to grave. Alright, so now we're going to go repair effect, banish. A special dog, we'll go 1 cross 2 dog. Dog will get octopus just because it's, I feel like it is important to keep that in hand for the scythe blade to protect it. Special Pingu. Now here, there's some interesting stuff doable. I'm actually gonna... is it worth doing the penguin effect here? Effect... Something to... Because I'm thinking if there's a universe where it's worth rank 4ing here. And doing some toy vendor shenaniganry. I don't think using the Fright for Fusion as an extender here makes much sense, so I think we'll just stick with the minimal setup. So I'll go Penguin effect here. Special Octo. Octo, add back the Edge and Scythe. Now here, let's say I go to grave. Dagda. Sheep is kind of whack here, so I'm actually gonna, because, yeah, I'm gonna toy vendor to trigger this, because I obviously don't want to like have the Edge and Scythe be chilling. Spell trap. Set. Now here you have a couple of options. You could, if you wanted to, special the sheep and then go like rank 4 Dweller and then make Apo. And remember, the Totally Awesome here can get you back the Penguin, which you can use to fuse, or it can get you back Octopus to put Wings in grave, to use Toy Vendor, Wings Bear as follow-up for the next turn. So that is definitely an option. Or you can you can keep like the Penguin up and leave the cross sheep, or you can like make the Apo and leave the cross sheep up and then have Octopus add back cards. I already have Patchwork and Fright for Fusion and Toy Vendor, so I actually think I'm not going to, I think ending on a cross sheep is probably the worst move. I think taking the rank 4 play here is better. But yeah, that's an example of how, like, say you see Illusion of Chaos mid-combo, that works really well as an extender, because we don't have to do, like, Dog at Sabers to trigger Cross Sheep and do some weird stuff like that. So yeah, I think this was a cool combo option, so I'm going to do some more test hands, and I'll pop over with the next one. Ooh, this is a really cool one. Okay, so obviously I've got the Droplet as a non-engine card. Going first, it's nice because if you don't need the backup disruption, it can just be like an extra thing you get. But also, this is an example of how we can use Illusion of Chaos profitably, and how sick Royal Penguin's Garden is in this deck. So let's go Royal Penguin's Garden here to go get the Pingu. To hand. Then we're going to go Bear Effects to grave. View Toy Vendor. Spell Trap. One thing of note is you do want to make sure you're ordering your effects in such a way that the Illusion of Chaos stack is the last thing you do before you activate Toy Vendor. One mistake I see a lot of people making is mixing up that order and then like drawing the top card of the deck and they're like, this isn't what I stacked. It's okay, it happens sometimes, but it is something to keep in mind that when you stack specifically to manipulate for Toy Vendor, you want to make sure that you're doing it in the right order. So you want to make sure you activate the bear here before you activate the Illusion of Chaos, so that you're not manipulating the top of your deck after you've already stacked. So here, yeah, you want to make sure that you activate those effects in that order. I'll just activate the Toy Vendor just because. So we'll go Illusion of Chaos effect here, view, add Magician Souls to hand. And then we are going to stack this Pingu. Yeah, and then we'll declare, pitch, Illusion of Chaos, draw, special summon the penguin that we drew, and then we'll go Souls effect here, special summon defense, declare. Well, we have to bin one of these guys for cost, sorry. My apologies to the IOC crew. And declare, send Toy Vendor, and Penguin's Garden. And again here, even if they like imperm the Magician Souls, for example, they imperm souls, you just add Dolphin, Penguin effect special Dolphin, you haven't used your normal summon, if they hit Dolphin, you still got like Toad Link to Droplet Pass. So again, Illusion of Chaos really raises the ceiling on what you can push through and how you can play. So let's say, for sake of argument, we do get the draws here. That's cracked. Okay. Alright, so let's go Toy Vendor here. And again, this kind of fills the same role as Eldritch did, for those who are familiar with the previous builds. Because this is the free body. It's just, this also draws you cards rather than be removal. So, we'll go Penguin effect. This comes up sometimes where people are like, oh, I better stop Penguin. And then you're like, okay, normal Dolphin. Because we did the stack and we have not yet normal summoned. That's also something to remember, just as you're comboing. Remember that you haven't used your normal summon if you did stacks, because it can come up where you want that extra body to do extra stuff. So do keep in mind that sometimes you just straight up don't use your normal summon when you're comboing. Alright, so we'll do this. We'll send everybody's favorite draw engine. Send the wings. Alright, let's pop them over. Over to Bahami Shark. Bahamo. Get Toad. Patchwork here, declare. I'll go get Polly and the Edgem Scythe, just to make sure we've got that in hand. Come on. There we go. Alright, then we'll flip this up. Let's do some draws. Oh, something else of note here. If you know you're going to be doing it this way, and you lead with like the shark stuff before doing souls, I sometimes am making Bahamut Shark in the extra monster zone. Ease is the one who actually told me I should start doing that. And Force of Habit has me not doing it, but I should do it more. This is just so that you have more room for like level 4s for extra space. Sometimes when you run out of space, it can be wonky to manage cross sheep zones. So putting Bahamut Shark in the extra monster zone when you know you're going to link that off over everything else is probably worth doing. Here I didn't do it, but you probably should. Alright, let's go for it. Banish, banish. Draw. Send and draw. That's actually pretty sick. So I'm going to go declare. Go grab Penguin, and just look at all this hand advantage. We haven't even drawn all our cards yet. Alright, so let's bin them over across. Polly. Here I'll keep the Edgem Scythe in hand because I can, and then we've got Sabers as an extender. I'll make Whale here, and again here, because we could see Chain or the Repair, I'm actually not going to Cruel Whale here. So I'm going to draw, and yeah, see, so we drew the Repair. Excellent. Souls, don't know if, I'll pitch the Droplet, because I feel like the other Souls could come up a little bit more often, and then obviously Cross Sheep can go get Penguin. Now here, we can go FB Goods, view to bin, to grab the Toy Vendor, and here I'll probably get Doggo, just because we have not used the Doggo effect just yet. We'll declare Special Doggy. Dog effect here, probably getting Sheep as extension. To hand. So this is a hand, for example, where I can show off how you would make the double toad setup work. So we're going to go Sheep Special, declare. We'll bounce Doggo to hand. If we had Chain here, this board would actually be like even more stupid. But we do not, and that is okay. So here I'll link off the Whale. We'll go Dagda. So we'll activate the Repair to return. Obviously declare Dagda effect. And then you can go Return the Cruel Whale to extra deck. Well, Dagda resolves first. So we'll go set the Scythe. Return, and we're special summoning the Pingu. Cool beans. So, here you have a couple of options. We don't really need to use the dog as extension because we haven't even used Saber's effect here. So I might as well just keep the dog in hand. So I'm just going to hop over, Bahamut, detach a Pingu to get the second frog. And then here, you can either link off the cross sheep if you want. And it's sometimes beneficial, but here you can just go Apple for 3, and then you still have your cross sheep recovery, plus droplet, plus a Fluffal name in hand, and then double toad. So this is an example of where Illusion of Chaos and that engine gives you, like, look at all this follow-up you've got. Like, look at your engine. And you have the Repair Engrave, you've still got Sabers. You're drawing into a bear, which you can use for souls, because we still have another toy vendor left in deck. Just absolutely insane. So I think we'll do one more test hand just to get you guys, again, used to the IOC combo stuff. And then I'm going to go over all the different options. All right, we're opening pretty cracked here. This is kind of a weird one. Mainly because there are so many different ways you can start this that what you want to do kind of depends. I think to try to get some like really high value here off of this IOC, I'm gonna go with this route. We already have Edgem Scythe as a backup plan in case of something like a droll here, so I'm less concerned about high rolling here. But here we're gonna go get bear. Bear to hand. And we're going to do the dog stack. To grave. And then we'll go get toy vendor here, dispel trap. Declare. Well, we're not declaring this yet. So we're going to go IOC reveal. View. Add souls to hand. Stack doggo. We've seen this before. To top deck. Declare, pitch IOC. Draw a doggo, special doggo. Declare, view. Now here, I'm actually gonna get penguin because obviously like fusion summoning is like one of our backup plans. But if not, we can still do like rank 4 Scythe Lock through this, for example. So then we'll go souls here, and we're gonna bin ourselves another one of these. And even like here, because we almost have everything we want, soul send 1 is totally fine. It also means they might be less likely to hit it with something like a hand trap. So let's draw. Royal Penguin's Garden is actually really, really cool here. Again, this will help us build hand advantage. So we're going to go toy vendor effect, and we're going to get dolphin here to hand. Penguin's Garden also could let us do some funny extension plays, which is really cool. Alright, so we'll go Penguin's Garden here to get this out of deck. And again, we have not yet used our normal summon. So we're going to declare special dolphin effect. And again, if the imperm is here, it's totally fine. Penguin's Garden was great here because we can still overlay for Toad while also having the Fluffal Penguin to use his fusion material. So that is really super sick. I love Royal Penguin's Garden so much. It is just the stupidest thing that does so much. So this is actually an example of where it would come up, that you would want to make the Bahamut Shark in the extra monster zone, because you want to keep these two zones open, or these two zones open usually. So here making it in the extra monster zone means that you can put the Toad here and then link off the souls and the Bahamut Shark into cross sheep. So that's just like an example of when something like that might come up. So we're going to go Froggy. Now that we have Froggy up, we'll do this. Here, since we don't need the Sabers as an extender, even though we already have like a toy vendor set, and we've already gone through a couple toy vendors here, I'm going to get Chain, because Chain can get Repair, and then we can start getting real nasty. Alright, so we're going to go Chain, add this to hand, extremely sick. And then we'll go Banish, Banish. There's a universe where you get Sabers and then you use the vendor stack, but there's a little bit more RNG reliant on what we're drawing here, although we do get a vendor search, so I am going to stick with the Chain Revive here. So we're going to draw, sand, draw. If we got chain, Octo is really cool. That frees us up with like this toy vendor to get something like sheep. Or we could even get like, we could get sabers if we really wanted to. I think I'll get sheep here just because I know we have chain access, and that lets us do some extra rank 4-iness. So we're going to pop over here and we're going to link into the cross. Having the dog here is really cool here for zone reasons. So let's use chain penguin to grave, grab whale here. And here again, we're going to use the chain to search the repair rather than use the whale send. And then we'll get our penguin draws here. Draw. I think the souls isn't really going to do that much for us on the follow, so I think I'm actually going to pitch the souls here. I'd rather keep everything else. So that is totally fine by me. And then we get penguin revive. So here, we'll go penguin summon octopus here, and we'll octopus add back a card. Maybe we've already got a chain, so we'll probably get a dolphin hand here. And that'll let us do some summoning, some 6 summons. So we'll go link off the Octo and the whale here for the Dagda. Yeah, this lets us do some really nasty, really nasty stuff. Okay, so now I'm gonna repair here. Declare. We'll chain the Dagda. We'll set the scythe. It honestly might have even been better to link off the cross sheep and the thing into Dagda for zoning reasons. But we can make it work. We can make it work. So we're gonna revive the other penguin here. Yeah, really, really nasty. I almost like, God, I almost want to make like Apo here, just for zone reasons. This is actually kind of tough. I might have actually, I might have done this a little wonky. Now I'm trying to think. I think I just like make a rank 4 here. Yeah. Let's go Dweller. Let's do this. And we'll use this penguin, special dolphin. We don't even have to use this sheep here. This is so disgusting. Double Bahamut. No, okay, yeah, this worked how I wanted. Detached penguin. Special summon the other toad. And then this. Yep. Oh, man. Just, yeah, like, again, seeing, like, either Illusion of Chaos or Magician Souls makes the repair play a lot more likely just because you're digging through your deck more. It's less likely that you'll need to use Patchwork to search for an Edgem Scythe. It's less likely that you have to use Chain to search for Patchwork, and it's more likely that you might draw something like a Poly to start plays. So adding the repair to your hand rather than sending it actually comes up a lot more. So this is absolutely insane. You have the Dweller to force out stuff early. You've got Toad Tributes, like double Toad recovery is really silly. You can either add back like a Cruel Whale if you want to have that back, add Penguin, add Dolphin, add Octopus, whatever you want. You've got Sheep summon back Chain as follow-up. You've got Chain here to follow up with. And obviously the Droplet is insurance. Just absolutely absurd. So I hope those 3 replays have helped you see what IOC brings to the table, and also why you might want to consider Double Toad. So now with this, I'm actually going to hop back over to Deck Edit, and I'm going to talk to you guys about different extra deck and main deck options that you can start to mess with. So I'll see you guys in a bit. Alright, here we are back in Deck Edit, and so here I'm going to talk to you guys about extra deck tech. So this is something where I think probably has the most variation in what's going to go on between lists, because there's a lot of really good cards and not a lot of space. So let's get into it. First, obviously, you can include Sabertooth if you want. Frifer, Saber. I have cut it in this list specifically, but if you are still playing Hope Harbinger, for example, you'll definitely want to include a copy of Sabertooth because it means Hope Harbinger is much easier to make. And Michael Campos actually brought up an awesome point in one of his deck profiles about Dark, where you can use Dark to summon your opponent's Destiny Hero Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer, which happens to be level 8, so you can then overlay your opponent's DPE and one of either Sabertooth or Kraken into Hope Harbinger. Ooh, I did a double type there. There's no Fright for Saber, Hope Harbinger in the game. Hope Harb. So for those of you who don't know about Hope Harbinger, it is a rank 8 monster that is made in, it used to be made in Fluffal a lot more ways back, not as much recently, but Campos played it in his topping list. Once per turn, when a spell card or effect is activated on the field, quick effect, you can negate that effect, and if you do, attach that card to this card as material. And when an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can redirect the attack. Basically change the attack to Hope Harbinger and perform damage calc. It has another Xyz monster effect, almost never comes up. You can read it if it does. But basically this is just a spell card, spell negate. It also takes cards. Obviously good in a meta where the Brave Engine is big, but it's also going to be good in a meta where Branded Fusion is going to be a thing. And there's going to be lots of Branded and Red and Fusion spells from deck. So this is definitely an option to include. It's part of why I'm doing Double Toad, is actually for the reason that Hope Harbinger is around. But if you're also playing DPE, Harbinger can be a really good option with Dark. So definitely keep Harbinger in mind for the future. If you do play Harbinger, you also probably want to find room for Sabertooth, just because Sabertooth Revive Kraken is going to be one of the more frequent ways you're able to make this card. The other elephant in the room is DPE, Destiny Hero Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer. Image really still do be loading here. There we go. DPE is obviously very good. I personally haven't played it in lists because I prefer to have the extra deck utility. Edgem Scythe, I think, is preferable as a mechanism to be popping Artifact Scythe. But DPE offers really sick synergy with stuff like Toy Vendor, extra pops like the Royal Penguin's Garden. Obviously, Artifact Scythe is quite good with. It's a great backup plan, but it does take up some non-engine space, which is why I'm not on it. But definitely good to play, and you can absolutely build around it. If you're playing DPE, you probably trim some fat. So you probably cut down on the Penguin's Gardens, maybe you put the droplets out of the main. You can probably cut the Octopus with DPE, because the main purpose of Octopus in the list is to add back the Edgem Scythe and be part of the advantage engine with Cross Sheep. That's less than necessary if you have Celestial as follow-up advantage, and because DPE, you're always able to fall back on that with a Scythe. Octopus add back the Edgem Scythe is less than necessary, although I still do like it because it dodges board breakers a little better. But that's something to consider. There are parts of the list that you can trim down to make room for the engine and still be fine. However, one thing that Campos did that we were doing theory work on in the Necrofusion Discord that I think is definitely the way to go is, rather than Celestial Dasher, just because of how Toy Vendor works with this deck, it's probably actually worth playing Denier and Malicious instead. Campos was on 1 Denier, 2 Mally. I think if you're going all in on the package, you should do 2 Denier, 2 Mally, because you can do some cool stuff with the extra deck. It takes up space, but it's pretty sick. So you can play Destiny Hero Dangerous. Destiny Hero Dangerous. So Dangerous is, I mentioned that I was going to talk about this in a previous video, but I never got to, so I'm going to talk about it now. This is a really interesting package. So you play 2 Denier, 2 Mally, and you play a Destiny Hero Dangerous and a Beatrice, Lady of the Eternal. Destiny Hero Dangerous. 1 Destiny Hero monster plus 1 Dark Effect monster. Quick effect. You can discard 1 card, send 1 Destiny Hero monster from your hand or deck to the graveyard. And if you do, the Destiny Heroes gain 200 attack. Nobody cares. The point is that this is a level 6 fusion that dumps. That doesn't lock you into anything. So Patchwork plus any of your hero bricks that gets you to Beatrice. Say like you fuse with Denier, for example. You would Polymerization, fuse with the Denier and the Dangerous to or Denier and whatever you search, probably Edgem Chain with the Patchwork. So you make the Dangerous level 6 chain effect add probably Fright for Fusion or Fright for Repair. Dangerous pitch a card. You could be pitching Toy Vendors, you could be pitching Chains, you could be pitching lots of Wings, Sabers, lots of cards with value to discard. So you do the discard, send Mally, banish Mally, summon Mally, and then you make Beatrice. Oh, I keep forgetting to backspace. Beatrice. So with Beatrice, you can detach Beatrice to send a Toy Vendor. Toy Vendor add Dolphin, and that gets you to your Wings draws without having used your normal summon. All off of opening one of the hero bricks and Patchwork. So it's really funny. And if you want, you can even like pop a copy of Token Collector in the side or Fairy Tale Snow to take extra advantage of that Beatrice. Mischief of the Gnomes if you're feeling really spicy and you really hate Virtual World at your locals. But Beatrice Send Toy Vendor is like genuinely extremely stupid for a hand that by all accounts should be an absolute brick. And what's nice is that you can use the Denier as an extra body to put the Mally back on top, and that way you have the materials in deck necessary to still resolve Fusion Destiny. So that's why you would do 2 and 2 rather than 1 and 2. You can still do 1 and 2, but it just means you're probably not making DPE at the end of your combo unless you do some really crazy stuff. So I would personally go all in on the package if you're doing that. Otherwise, I would stick with Celestial Dasher. But note that, like with Campos' setup, you can go all in and use the extra deck space. So that's just like a DPE package thing. Something else with the DPE package, I think Dark would definitely be worth playing. Obviously, just because it's a good part of it. I would definitely, if you're playing DPE, I wouldn't go for the double toad setup. Because we'd either be playing less Magician Souls, for example, but you will need the extra deck space there. Tornado Dragon also becomes a cuttable card because DPE is basically where you're getting Scythe. So in hands where you don't have polymerization access, Tornado Dragon is a lot less necessary. So you'd only play it if you felt like you wanted it on top of the DPE for something like the Flunder matchup or a back row matchup. And I think with DPE it would be less necessary. Plus you're finding room for the other stuff too. So Tornado Dragon is definitely a cut you can make there. Also with the main deck, if you decide to play DPE, I would definitely move to 3 poly, just because it will come up where you just like hard to make a Phoenix Enforcer with poly, and it will also come up more that you'll want to make the dangerous play. So having the 3rd polymerization in your main deck and making room for it actually makes a lot more sense. In this like super heavy combo version that I have here, I like 2, just because you can use the engine to do so much work even without Fusion Summoning, but Fusion Summoning is obviously really good. I've been considering 3, maybe dropping a Gardens or a Bear, but right now I think 2 is good. Speaking of polymerization, Guardian Chimera. This card is really good. It is a very, very, very strong card, and Fluffal just happens to get to search polymerization because of how Patchwork works. So you get big untargetable bungus. The only downside is that it's only really good going second. We don't have something like Branded in Red that lets us Fusion Summon this on our opponent's turn. And I suspect in the upcoming meta, when people activate polymerization, people are probably going to negate it. So a Guardian Chimera is a really, really strong option, and importantly, in something like Campos' build, or in more fusion-heavy focused builds, this is definitely worth the slot. And some of the Fluffal names can actually chain block this effect. Penguin sadly can't. Penguin has the requirement that it has to be used for a Frightfur fusion monster in order to get its effect, as does Octopus. But Dolphin can be used to chain. Well, a chain obviously can, but Dolphin just requires that it's used as fusion material for a fusion summon. And if I am not mistaken, if you decide to play Fluffal Cat, I believe Cat also just lets you, yeah, if it's used as a fusion material for a fusion summon. So if you decide to play Cat to facilitate Hope Harbinger plays, or you have Dolphin in hand, you can use those effects to chain block the Guardian Chimera to let it resolve. One other thing to note about Guardian Chimera that some people might not realize is that you can't actually use its effect going first unless your opponent controls a monster. There has to be a card for them to control in order for you to use the effect. So, for example, if your opponent gets Gamma's you or Nibiru's you, you could make Guardian Chimera as a method to follow up and draw cards and pop their stuff. But if you just like hard make it, you can't draw the cards and not destroy cards on your opponent's side of the field. Kind of like how Whale has to have a card on the other side of the field in order to activate its effect. Chimera is in the same situation. You can't resolve one part of the effect without the condition being met. So, just a note, I am personally not playing this card, specifically because it doesn't do anything going first, and I think going second, a Cruel Whale already kind of does this with Penguin. Chimera obviously is really strong, but like frankly, Whale is just bigger. And you already have Destruction Protection in the form of like Edgem Scythe, which I think is actually more valuable. The targeting protection I don't think comes up as often as you would like it to. Like one of the main like targeted effects is like imperm. You could still boost whale post imperm, but I feel like imperm is not played like as much, so it could depend on meta shifts. But right now, I don't like Chimera, but you might, and you can absolutely build around Chimera. Like if you're playing DPE Fusion Pile, where you're kind of playing the deck like a Guardian Chimera Turbo that occasionally pops up, like pops off with Fluffal stuff, then Chimera is a really, really sick option. 3,300, untargetable, big bungus that draws you cards and destroys stuff. Sounds good to me. Okay, so some other interesting tech here. Proxy F Magician. This is basically like a way to play Fluffal Owl in your extra deck without playing Fluffal Owl. And it comes up a lot more in a list like this, where you are seeing less poly and you're making your fusion plays, but you've got stuff like Magician Souls now that you can special summon instead of just like Octopus and the Edgem Scythe and the Wings. Now you have a couple of other targets that are worth special summoning. It's just a way to fusion summon stuff. So if you're playing Sabretooth, having Proxy F to trigger something like a Penguin after doing some like Link plays or some special summon spamming. So yeah, Proxy F is cool. Definitely worth considering on the list. And it would not be a proper list if I did not shout out my man Dugar's the Timeless. A very unfortunate cut in this version of the list. It was basically Dugaras are dark, and I feel like dark in this meta game is coming up more, but there will be a time where I probably swap it for Dugaras. This card is hilarious. The main reason you're using this effect is actually to just double the attack of a Cruel Whale to 7,800. But this comes up surprisingly often. I have doubled the attack of Nibiru tokens my opponents have left me to attack over like a monster for 17k damage. You can double the attack of a Kraken to make lethal. It actually comes up sometimes where, because we don't have the Link 3 to play for access code, that you double the access code to 86 to make sure that you get lethal. So there's some really interesting applications for Dugaras, and it's also a combo piece. If you've got Penguin in graveyard and a Fluffal in hand, it's a way to turn 2 bodies into 3. And also, like, the draw effect is crazy. We've got a lot of draw power in the deck, but if drawing 6 cards wasn't enough, you can use Dugaras to draw 8. And obviously it's a discard outlet, which comes up sometimes. So all 3 of the effects are good, but you're almost always using it to double the attack as something to push for game. And especially if a lot of people are going to be using Verte Anaconda and not clearing it with their own DPE, for example, or using Verte in a different context. When they've dropped to 6,000 life points, a 7,800 whale is suddenly very, very, very close to lethal. So Dugaras is definitely something you would want to consider in your extra deck. So that's about it for extra deck tech. I think something just to consider very briefly is decide what you want your version of this build to be. I am focused on a deck that has an engine that can go second quite well and wants to dodge board breakers because I think they'll be more popular. That's why I have the Octopus, that's why I'm focused on Edgem Scythe, and it's why I'm not playing DPE because I feel like it has some weaknesses going second. But if you want something that will always have something on board, like for example DPE as a backup, or you want to play the deck kind of like Albaz Guardian Chimera Turbo, but that has the potential to pop off, you might want to adjust your ratios to fit that. So that may mean less Fluffal names, it could mean less Gardens. Find slots and tech that works for you. It's going to be very dependent on your local meta. Yeah, that is about it for this update video. I will probably have some replays up in a separate video soon, and maybe some other tech discussions, but that's kind of like the main meat of the update. I just wanted to introduce everybody to what Illusion of Chaos brings to the deck, introduce everybody to different extra deck options, and kind of walk through some example combos to show y'all how to get it done. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more. I will hopefully have a few out sometime in the next few weeks, because the knowledge has kind of come back in. But yeah, thanks everybody for watching. We'll catch you in the next one.